Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to our /entitled people, where people truly believe they can do what they want, when they want, because they're special. And in today's episode, it's all about entitled family members. Arguably the most entitled people of all, because we are family. We're talking Karens trying to hijack birthday parties, demanding inheritances, getting taught lessons. So if you have entitled family members, this one's for you. I hope you enjoy the stories. Don't shake your heads too hard. And as always, you can send or link your post to this email right here. Let's dive in. So my husband and I have 2 kids, both boys, now aged 11 and 14. My husband's younger sister now has 3 children, aged 7, 5, and 3. The year my youngest son was turning 4, he asked for a birthday party. He wasn't yet in school, so he didn't know anyone but family, but there were no children other than his brother that were able to attend. Luckily, his favorite people in the world are Grandpa and Grandma, Dad's parents. Grandma's like a big kid. She's super fun and energetic. She acts much like a kid herself, and my boys adore her. I knew they were very busy, so I asked them several months in advance if they could attend his birthday party. The birthday party was to be on his birthday. This is important. And being the wonderful grandparents they are, they agreed and requested that time off from their jobs. We also invited all the close by family, including my sister-in-law, the entitled Karen of this story. That said, months go by, and it's now about a week and a half before my son's big day. I've bought all the decorations, planned the menu, and pumped him up. One afternoon, though, I receive a call from my sister-in-law, who's about to find out the sex of her baby. She's pregnant with baby number 1 at this point. She wants to plan a gender reveal party, but she's called all of her friends and family, and she's discovered that most work and can't attend without several weeks' notice from their jobs. The only day that everyone just so happens to have off is my son's birthday. She then asked me, would I be willing to move my son's birthday party to another day so she can have her party. At this point, it may bear mentioning that she already has 3 baby showers planned. Yes, 3 baby showers, and she's asked me to make the food out of pocket for one of the showers. Most people being asked to attend her gender reveal party were already attending multiple baby showers for her. And here's the thing, I'm pretty friendly and passive, and this caught me very off guard. I tried to gently tell her that my son was looking forward to this party, and we've planned it for months, which is why everyone had it off from work. Sister-in-law feigned sympathy, but still urged me to please move my son's birthday party to a time that everyone could later attend, and let her have this open date for her party. She even said to me, "This is my first baby, you've already had 2. Besides, your son loves babies, and he would love to go to her party too. He could still come to my party and see everyone he loves, and then he'll get to do it all over again when everyone can request time off." Now, I didn't have time to gather a response as she steamrolled over me, and I just said, okay, if they don't want to go, I won't make them come to my son's party, but I can't go to your party, we have plans. She just responds, thanks. Of course, I was angry. She's pulled this kind of thing with other people before, and I didn't know how to react other than to vent to my husband, her brother, who wasn't surprised at all, and he said not to worry, that Dad would set her straight. Funny enough, I was talking to my husband when I saw father-in-law call my phone. I answered, and he said that sister-in-law had told him that I had no problem with her hijacking my son's birthday, and that I insisted she have the party and everyone go to that one instead of my son's. He said if this was true, that he would attend her party, but he would way rather go to the party of my son, as he'd already gotten the presents and they were excited about celebrating a kid that's already here on his big day. I very happily told him that I was never going to cancel his birthday or make him sit through someone else's party on his big day. I mean, he's 4 years old, and I've been counting down for him every morning. What kind of monster would I be? I said that I had told sister-in-law that people could go to that if they preferred, but we wouldn't be attending. He says that sounds about right, and then told sister-in-law that he's going to my son's party since he requested time off for that and not for my sister-in-law. Well, since grandma and grandpa were going to my son's birthday party, she cancels her party, and then she talked about me behind my back to anyone that would listen for years to follow. Lovely woman. Thank goodness everything worked out in the end for OP, right? And she still got to have her son's birthday on his special day. But seriously, I just wish OP had the courage to tell sister-in-law that she can F right off. Like the nerve of sister-in-law to try to hijack that special day, right? Like what kind of monster does that? Oh, since everyone's already taking time off on this day, just give me this day instead. Who cares about your 4-year-old son? Again, the audacity. Clearly super duper entitled and spoiled. And don't even get me started on the 3 baby showers. Like, is that really necessary? So this one's a long post, and it actually happened at Christmas last year, but the effects are now being felt full force. My older sister, who we'll call Ria, and our mom have always had a very difficult relationship ever since I could remember. Ria has always been headstrong and not afraid to ask questions. My mom, however, was a very traditional devout Christian who put family above everything first. Here's a bit of background. My mom was the second eldest of 9 kids, and she moved from the Philippines to the US. She grew up dirt poor in a small province, and she experienced firsthand the hardship that comes with taking care of a big family. She was the first of her family to graduate college, and she's always valued education as a means to get out of poverty. She's paid for 4 of her siblings to go to college, and she's also paid for several of her siblings' children to go to good schools in the Philippines. Ria's had more exposure to the extended family than I did, as she was born in the Philippines. I was born in the US, 7 years apart. As she got older, Ria was very outspoken about how she didn't agree with my mom financially supporting some of her family. Ria felt as though they were abusing my mom's generosity, especially since mom was frugal with our money here in the US. When Ria was in her last year of high school, she had a bad falling out with my mom, and she moved out. They didn't speak for 5 years. In that time, Ria worked full-time, and she paid her way through college without any help from my parents at all. That said, fast forward a few years at my high school graduation. I invited Ria, and she attended, and she ends up reconciling with my mom. Things were still rocky, but they had a much better relationship. 2 years ago, my mom passed away. And unknown to me at the time, Ria had quietly taken over the continued financial support from my mom's youngest sister, Janet. She was basically paying for the cost of living and maintaining the college fund for Janet's daughter. Last year, Ria and I decided to spend the holidays in the Philippines. One of our visits was to Janet's place, and little did I know that crap was about to hit the fan when we sat down for dinner. After small talk, the topic of my mom comes up, and this was how the conversation went. Janet says, "It's such a shame your mom passed away. We will miss her." Ria responds, "Yes." Janet then goes on to say, "Ria, why did you stop talking to her? Why did you leave her? You should be ashamed. That's not how you treat family. Your mom could have raised you better. You were way too headstrong, you know, and that's not ladylike. You shouldn't be so aggressive. You need to be softer. How are you going to get a man otherwise? Nobody will want to marry you." She then goes on to say more stuff along these lines. Meanwhile, Ria just sits quiet. Janet then turns to me and says, "Don't you be like your sister, okay? Be a good daughter. Do you have a boyfriend yet? You don't want to get old like Ria and not have your own family. That's not following God's plan." And before I could speak, Ria asked her own questions. She asked Janet, "Why did you drop out and decide to get pregnant when mom was paying for your college? Did you really think that that businessman would leave his wife to take care of you? If you wanted to be a trophy wife, you should have just said so instead of wasting my mom's hard-earned money." At this point, I decided to watch because Janet was starting to piss me off, and Ria had been known to do epic takedowns. Janet, enraged, says, "How dare you come to my house, eat my food, and disrespect me?" Ria calmly says to her, "Technically, it's my mom's house. And you have food because my mom's been supporting you for the better part of 15 years. and you disrespected her by wasting all of the opportunity she worked hard for to give you. Janet responds, I don't need your attitude or your BS. I don't need anything from you, you disrespectful bitch. Get out of my house. She then rants some more, and Rhea just gets up and smiles and says, are you sure you don't need anything from me? You don't want anything from me. I just want to confirm I heard you correctly. Janet goes on and says, I don't need crap from you. I can take care of myself and my family, and how dare you imply otherwise? Now get out of my house and your father will hear about this. Rhea just looks at me and says, you heard her, let's go. Now, I was surprised by how calmly Rhea was taking the diatribe because I've seen her and my mom get into massive shouting matches. More confused than anything, I just follow her to the car. When we get to the car, Rhea says to me, you heard her, right? She doesn't need anything from me. That entitled, good-for-nothing bitch. At this point, it begins to dawn on me what my sister's about to do, and I say, yeah. Rhea responds, okay. When we get back to the hotel, my sister promptly stops the auto transfer of funds for Janet's account. We then spend the rest of the week lounging by the beach and hanging out with other cousins. Yesterday, I was talking to one of my cousins, and I heard that Janet's just now realizing what actually happens when you run out of money. I called up Rhea shortly after to give her an update. Rhea says, what? She ran out of money that quick? There was enough in there to last her the full year. What did she buy? I then ask, will she lose the house? Rhea tells me, no, it's all paid for. As long as she doesn't do something stupid, she should have a roof over her head. I then ask, did you also close her kid's college fund? Rhea tells me, nope, I'm not gonna punish the kid for her mom's stupidity. But that's all she gets, so if she messes it up, she messes it up. So yeah, will definitely be interesting how this plays out in the next few months. I have a feeling that my sister probably won't give a damn one way or the other though. You know what, you really have to applaud Rhea because despite not wanting to support the freeloading family members, she did what her mom would have wanted. It just sucks that Janet was so oblivious and she just played herself in the end. Like yes, family does come first in most cases, but you have to recognize when some family members are in it for the money and nothing but the money. And this does happen a lot, guys. Like, I had one friend whose parents did this for years and years and years. Just sending money back home to Vietnam, thinking they were supporting a family member's sick child, only to find out that the child wasn't even sick. And who knows what they did with that money. Bought cars, lived lavish lifestyles, who knows? Entitled family members, right? So this happened many, many moons ago, and I was the entitled one. I'm of Indian descent, and when I was a kid, we lived in a joint family. You know, parents, siblings, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, all under one roof. Frequently, really yummy snacks and desserts were made and would dissipate just as quickly. So we had a system that ensured everyone got their fair share of all of it. Individual items were pretty much equally divided. But for other things, they were slightly weighted by appetite/ability to consume, where that made sense. So a 4-year-old would get an adequate amount of ice cream, but it certainly won't be the same amount as a teenager's or an adult share. Now, little me felt that was incredibly unfair, and I felt personally wronged by this system. Never mind that there was usually enough for all the kids to get seconds if they wanted it. That said, one day, my mom makes a quick and easy family favorite. It's a kind of a rice pudding-like thing, garnished with dry fruits and aromatics like saffron and cardamom. The usual division happens, and I was over this nonsense. I thought size does matter, damn it. So I start sulking, even before the first bowl is handed out, and I'm on full tantrum mode by the time my bowl is filled. Everyone's perplexed, as I'm usually a pretty easygoing kid. My mom then takes me to our room, and she tries to calm me down and reason with me. She offers to give me more when I finish my first bowl. She offers to give me a bigger bowl, but nothing was going to be enough. I was going to take down this unfair system once and for all. My mom finally says what I've been waiting to hear. She says to me, "What is it that you want?" And I thought to myself, I now have her just where I want her. So I say with extreme conviction, I want it all. It's not fair that I get a small portion. And to my utter surprise and delight, she simply says, okay. At that, we march out to the family, and my mom says to everyone, so I've agreed to let OP have this whole pot. I'll make a fresh batch for everyone else, but no matter what happens, I would appreciate you letting me handle this my way. And hearing my mom say that, little me is sitting there triumphant. She then looks at me and says, okay, this whole pot is yours, but you are not to leave this spot until every last bite is eaten, and no one else will help you with it. Deal? So hearing that, my greedy, entitled eyes just light up, and of course I say yes. I start digging in, and you probably know where this is going by now. My mom whips up another batch for the rest of the family. Meanwhile, I get through my usual share. And then I may be able to handle 2 more spoonfuls before I'm full. At this point, I want to stop. But no, my mom reminds me that this is what I deprived the whole family of and created extra work for her for. So no, I could not leave without finishing it. I managed to get in a few more mouthfuls, and by now, the sweet is getting to me. It's clawing at me, really. This is when I look around the room, pleading silently, but everyone else is busy focusing on their own bowls per my mom's request to not interfere. Nobody would even make eye contact with me. I now start fidgeting, but my mom's now parked in front of me and she won't let me budge. I try to buy more time by pushing the rice pudding around on my bowl and not really eating. By now, my cousins are all finished and they're off to play per usual. And at this point, I'm stuck with a congealing, room temperature, too sweet mess of my own making that I can't get away from. My mom's just picked up a book and she's reading, completely unperturbed by my predicament. Every time I even shift in my seat, she looks at me and she says, "You asked for this, so you have to finish it." An hour later, after the tiniest of dents to that giant pot in front of me, I can't stomach another bite. I just can't. Soon, I throw back my chair and the tears get the best of me. I cried so hard. The tears come streaming down my face. And this is when my mom comes over to me and she holds me for a bit. She then asks me gently but firmly if I'm ready to apologize and move on, or whether I plan to continue rebelling because, you know, that pot's just where I left it and there's nowhere else she has to be. I make my apologies to everyone and I call it a night. I obviously learned my lesson and my mom is still a rock star. I just can't stand more than a couple of spoonfuls of rice pudding even after all of these years. I just consider it a small price to pay for a great life lesson. Oh man, definitely sounds like something my mom would do too, and she has done growing up. And I agree, OP's mom is a freaking rock star. Like, their mom cared enough and was loving enough to raise them to not be greedy in life. Like, sometimes you really do need to learn the hard way, especially as a child who, like OP said, was a little entitled, throwing a full-blown tantrum. And honestly, I would have loved to have seen the face of realization when OP knew they messed up. Let me know if something similar has happened to you while growing up. Alright, so I had to suffer through a holiday recently with my aunt, which made me annoyed all over again about something she did a few years ago. My mother passed in 2020, so sister and I received a large inheritance from our grandfather's estate. My mother's father, obviously, enough to buy a house with. My dad sorted out all the details of the taxes we had to pay on the inheritance for us. We did offer him a third share to take care of himself, but he stated he didn't want to touch the money. It's ours. So this aunt who I went on holiday with, who we'll call Rachel, is an avowed socialist, while the other aunt, who we'll call Tilly, has led the hippie lifestyle for decades. They're both in their 60s, and they're my dad's sisters. Now, because of their chosen lifestyles, they don't have much in the way of savings, but they're adults. They chose their lifestyle, and they have to live with the consequences of that. That said, a year or two after my mother passed, Tilly had some sort of crisis where her rent increased, and she wasn't sure how she was going to afford her place. I'm not sure of all the details. What I do know is Rachel reaches out to my dad. not to my sister or I, but my dad, with the suggestion that he use our inheritance, which we inherited from the other side of the family, to buy Tilly a house, which she would then leave to us in her will. So I would have to wait until my middle age to get access to my own money to buy a house with. And this is a person who we've barely spoken to in like 20 years. The audacity of this was absolutely amazing and made the holiday even more annoying, as I feel certain their attempts to get closer to us have partly to do with our money. Rachel's behavior on the holiday was also pretty irritating, asking inappropriate personal questions like, were you close with your mom? And acting like a child and getting upset because we were late to events that she wanted to go to. It set my sister and I arguing as well, so we 100% will never go on holiday with her again. See, and this is what I mean by the most entitled people are pulling the "we're family" card. Like, imagine someone whom you haven't spoken to in 20 years suddenly wanting hundreds of thousands of dollars from you and expecting it because they're blood related. Like, those people are the absolute worst. Oh, your mom's dead? You have all this money? Well, give it to me because I didn't plan for my retirement. Like OP said, the sheer audacity of some people. So I'm a 27-year-old female and I hit 1 year sober from alcohol at the beginning of the year. Now, this was a huge accomplishment for me. It was bigger to me than finishing college. I told my family that the next time we get together for a family dinner, I had something to celebrate. This all happened at my mom's. The kids were playing and the adults were hanging out. And this is when I took the moment to share that I reached 1 year sober and how good I felt about it. They all went with, "Oh, so that's what you were talking about. And has it been a year already?" Now, I am embarrassed to admit that I hope somebody would say that they're proud of me. This is when my brother-in-law Steve looks at my sister, and they both said, "Well," at the same time. And this is when my sister goes on and says, "Well, since we're all here, our daughter just got into a specific gymnastics thing. It's been a long road, but she did it." This is when Steve pops some wine that they brought and they start giving everyone glasses and cups. He made eye contact with me and his face fell. At this point, I had this gnawing feeling, so I got up from the table. I took a walk. I tried to get through the moment mentally so I could be present for my niece to celebrate her success. But when I got back to the house, my sister asked me why I left without saying anything. I said I needed a minute to myself. She then looks at me funny and she said, "Okay, why?" I then said that I had shared something that I was very proud of and she bulldozed over it. My mom then puts her hand up and she asked me what my news was. I said that I'd told them I hit 1 year sober. My mom said that my generation always wanted praise for doing the bare minimum, and that was not an accomplishment. It was something I needed to do, like graduating high school. I tried to make it through dinner, but I found myself not in the mood anymore, so I decided to go home. And here's the direct thing that I'm being called an a-hole for. I had brought a cake, my favorite, to share after dinner. That was the thing I decided I earned, and the kids had definitely seen it. On my way out, I decided to take it home with me. I guess when they realized the cake wasn't in the fridge anymore, my sister called to ask me why I took it. I said I took it because it was my cake to celebrate my accomplishment. And this is when she said, word for word, "Are you effing serious? Oh my god, grow up. You're such an effing baby." My mom later texted me directly to tell me how disappointed she was that I threw a tantrum because my niece got more attention than me. So am I the a-hole because I took home the cake in the end? And was it really childish of me considering the kids saw it and did not get any? Holy moly, with a family like that, who needs enemies, right? And I just want to say that 1 year is a huge accomplishment and should be celebrated. Like, it would have been hugs all around if I was there, and I'm so sad to read that OP was so excited to share the news, but she was born into a family of complete a-holes. And as for wondering if she's the a-hole, no effing way is she the a-hole in this situation. And I hope she ate every last bit of cake and enjoyed every single bite, because F entitled family members. Guys, let me know your thoughts. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /entitled people. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you did, hit that thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing so you don't miss these crazy stories. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, it's an r/malicious compliance episode, where Karens are throwing tantrums in restaurants. And the stories are absolutely wild. Go check it out if you haven't, and myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.